I grew up and I had a sister that was a year and a half older than me. And we were competitive. Like, it is in our, I think it's in every human's DNA to be competitive, but it was like really in there with my sister and I. To the point where we would be on this, we were close enough in age, we'd be on the same sports teams. We learned how to like ride bikes, we learned how to swim, we learned how to like do everything at about the same time. Because I was like very fearless as a child, and my sister was kind of, like not, she was cautious. So, take a cautious kid and then a reckless kid. And so, year and a half, we learned how to do everything pretty much at the same time. And we were always competing, always, always, always. And it didn't matter. Like, we were sports teams, basketball, softball. It didn't matter if we were like jogging a lap around the field. That jog would always turn into a race. We were running lines in basketball. We would always race. Everything was a competition. And in life, we get into these competitions with people, and it actually, over time, it starts to deteriorate relationships, and so even, now, when my sister comes over and we're all playing a board game, that board game is like a fierce competition. And even my kids are like, holy crap, like, man, Auntie Stacy's like really, really competitive. Like, what's the deal? And the interesting thing is that, especially with siblings, we didn't realize it at the time, but unconsciously we're competing for our parents' love, attention, and affection, okay? And so we were always competing in everything, and we didn't even really understand why. But that's where competition starts. It's a competition for attention. And so that's, interestingly enough, siblings become very different. And so even though we played the same sports, she was a pitcher and I was a catcher. I was a point guard and she was a wing. We never played the same position because we didn't want to be in such direct competition with each other. We weren't both pitchers because there wasn't enough room for us to be both pitchers. I could excel by being something else and doing that really well. But the very interesting thing about our relationship is that there's a time where you have to turn the competition into creation, all right? And so I want you to think about your life right now. Who are you competing with? I want you to think about your company right now. Who are your employees competing with? Who are you competing with as a company? Because the more we focus on the competitor, the less we're focusing on ourselves. I would get so entwined in competing with my sister about things that I would be doing things that I didn't even want to do. It was just a matter of I needed to win, so I needed to get into this competition. I would specifically put myself into situations to compete just for the sake of competing. And competition has its place, but competition is not what we think it is. Competition is, by definition, if you go way back into ancient Greek times, it's coming together to make each other better. War is coming together to fight to the death, okay? But we use that language. We need to destroy our opponents. We need to, annihilate the other team. But the thing is that we actually are there, and the other team is there to serve the other one. And we're coming together to do our best to make each other better. In industry, if we focused on that more, right? In family, if we focused on that more, it would be a totally different outcome and be a totally different perspective. So in your life, ask yourself, who am I competing with right now? Because I notice myself getting into competition with my kids. I get into competitions with my wife, right? And like, you don't win with your kids. You don't win with your spouse, okay? I'll show you what I mean. So like my now 6-year-old daughter, if I'm fighting with her to put her shoes on, and finally I yell loud enough, and she caves in and she gets her shoes on, and we walk to the truck and she's crying, did I win? Is that a win for me? Like, I won, she got her shoes on, and we're gonna get to daycare on time? That's not winning, right? Like, that's not winning for her, and it's not winning for me, right? That just broke our relationship apart a little bit. And so it's about creating, not competing. And even, I think that in our marriages, in our friendships, in our, especially our sibling relationships, because they are so deeply rooted on competition. In our relationships with our parents, we are so busy trying to be enough prestigious enough, significant enough, special enough, okay? And all of those things that we try to make ourselves feel special and unique, we're focusing on the differences between us and other people. All right? So competition is about I'm different, I'm better, or I'm worse, or I'm less. I'm different than other people. And the more we focus on creating, the more we focus on what we have in common. What's the same about the both of us? What's the same about you and me? What are our common goals? What are our common objectives? How can we come together as a team and move forward to create something that wasn't here before? And that perspective changes everything when it comes to relationships. It changes everything when it comes to parenting, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to business, when it comes to sales, okay? And if you're competing for sales, stop doing that. Stop competing for sales. Start creating something for your customer that you've created such an amazing thing that you are serving them, okay? It's not about competition, it's about creation. And that perspective changes everything.